My father was the youngest of 12, and he was physically abused when he was a child.
When I found out, I hired a criminal attorney. I tried to follow up, and then there were people who came to me and said, hey, if you follow up too much, the same person that broke your dad's neck will break yours.
Anywhere we go,
Yeah.
the universe loves me.
I had a little bit of ego power because of that.
We all have those things that we have to overcome to reach a different level, right? If you're listening to a podcast like this or watching it, you know you're meant for more. I would bet to say we have a lot in common, but the one thing I can guarantee everybody listening or watching has is you know you're called for another level. You know you're meant for more, and you're seeking capabilities to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I think there's something always good to remember is your best thinking always gets you to where you are. So if you want to go to another level, you need new thinking. Your best capabilities, your best habits got you to where you are. So if we want to stretch, we have to get new capabilities. We have to take on new habits. We have to learn from people who are playing the game at a higher level than us. And then the most important thing we have to do, and this is a word, if you remember nothing else from this podcast, remember this. We all must not only gain the capabilities, listen, we all got to take the uncomfortable action it takes to achieve it. And it's uncomfortable because it's new. It's uncomfortable sometimes because it's scary. It's uncomfortable because it's that thing you've been avoiding for so long because it just doesn't maybe align with you, but you know that your next level lives on the other side of the thing that you face, the fear and the uncomfortable action. So I commend you for gaining new capabilities today and in your life, but remember, none of it works without the moving forward. So we all have those stories of those things. And one thing, my partner and friend, Tony Robbins, I love when he says, I love that sometimes he just gives words to something we already know, right? And it's, what if life happened for us, not to us? And if you want me to share a story that I think it could be really relevant, because a lot of us have had things happen to us. And I'm sorry, it could be parenting, first relationship, somebody unfaithful, somebody let you down, somebody stole your money. The other stuff is, I'm too small, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not rich enough, I'm not smart enough. All the things that we have to overcome. We know that, right? Winston Churchill said the definition of success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. I love that quote, right? But I want to share a story the one that came to my heart. And the reason I want to share this one is because what if there was something in your life that you thought was your anchor? And maybe today the greatest gift I could give you, if I give you anything, the greatest gift would be, what if one of those stories that you thought was the thing that held you back, the anchor that dragged you down, was actually the wind behind your sail if you just flipped it like that? And I want to share, my parents were married and divorced a lot when I was a kid, 9 times between the two of them. So it was a crazy childhood. But when I was about, and this might seem personal, but when I was 11 years old, I was living with my mother. And my father, I'm going to back up, and this hopefully will really resonate. This is more about you than me, but I want to share this. My father was the youngest of 12, and he was physically abused when he was a child. He's old school Italian, hardcore dude, and never got therapy, just kind of fought his way his whole life. Very tough Italian guy, youngest at 12, never going to let anybody take advantage of him. And when he got divorced, it was really hard for him to handle, and he caused a lot of chaos and craziness in my life. By 11, I had a bleeding ulcer because I was so nervous about my dad. I was afraid he was going to do something to my mom, and he was very violent. Again, we all have these stories. But when I was 11 years old, I was living with my mom. My dad freaked out, and we literally hid in a motorhome for like 2 months. We were hiding from my dad, and he was trying to find us. And we were getting more scared the more we hid. Finally, one day, I walked downtown about 3 miles with my sister. I was 11, she was 15. It was so long ago, and most of you won't know what this means. I put a quarter in a payphone, and I called my dad from a payphone, and he picked up the phone. He goes, "Where the hell are you? Tell me right now." Very upset. And I remember at 11 years old, I said, "Dad, what do I need to do for you to stop You're driving us crazy. You're driving my mom crazy. She doesn't know what to do. She can't move on with her life. And I remember feeling that mature. And he said, move in with me. I'll never bother your mother again. So at 11 years old, I made a decision to not be in hiding. I told him where I was. I said, come pick me up. I told my mom I'm going to live with my dad. She couldn't understand why. And the fact is, he made his promise come true. He never bugged her again. But I moved in with a guy who was the most amazing dad half the time. Natasha, amazing human, took me hunting and fishing, taught me how to drive, let me drive to school when I was 14. Like the coolest dad in the world, and also the guy that never resolved his issues of being beaten really bad as a child. And he would freak out so much, he would scare me. I'd be sick. I had a bleeding ulcer. I was nervous all the time. It was these two men lived in one person. So you think, oh, Dean, you're telling me this horrible story, but here's what I want to tell you. Living with him made me realize that I could tell when he was going down the wrong path. I could tell when he was going to be like psycho dad, and I could feel it. And I found empathy and compassion rather than being upset. And I found a way by the time I was 15, Natasha, to not let him go in those funks, to keep him as the cool dad with loving and compassion. And that, though it seemed like a tragic story, to this day, I believe I can go on in front of an audience of 400,000 people online or 75,000 in a stadium, and I believe I can feel their energy and I can feel what they need, and I can adjust my presentation, I can adjust my script, and I can be the person they need right in that moment. Now, I could look back on poor me, I moved into my dad, but that was a gift from God because it taught me how to empathize and be compassionate and feel people's energy. And this is what I do for a living. 13 companies, 10 of them were in this space of being in self-education and teaching people. And instead of that being, oh man, I had a tough childhood, my dad was really tough, I had to leave my mom, it was terrible, and life sucks. It's like, no, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, gave me that gift because I think I'm a pretty good presenter and speaker and do events with close to 1 million people in them now. And I get to feel that energy because of the gift of understanding my dad. So there's a lot of stories I could tell. I don't tell that one very often. I've probably told that story 3 times in my entire life. But that was happening for me, not to me. And I promise you today, this is not about Dean's story and his crazy dad. It's about you. What story in your life do you think I could be successful if that didn't happen? And you could switch it to say, I'm going to be successful because that did happen, because I did learn from that craziness. I hope that helps.
My God, that is such a powerful story. That is exactly the way I was hoping we would get to the part, because you've just dived in. You've just gone to the place where it's like, are you going to make your traumas into your fuel? Because anything we can't say thank you for is our baggage. Anything we cannot let go of goes against us. It becomes a weight. So the fact that you've been able to lean into something you went through that at the time you maybe didn't even know and it felt bad.
Of course didn't. Yeah, you never know in the time, right?
Right. And it's become amazing for you. You can speak to 1 million people, no problem. You can feel the audience. So our baggage becomes our fuel. Our baggage becomes our reason and our way to connect to who we're really born to be. I always share with people my story of when I went through an illness. I put myself on this pedestal for years. I thought I was great. I thought I was wonderful. I had all things material. I was on a pedestal and I had no way of getting off. And I had to get off it somehow, but I had no way. So life threw at me pain. Life threw at me this illness, this autoimmune disease where I was thrown on the floor and I had no way to get up. I had an overactive thyroid at a really bad level. So I was on heart medication. I was in bed for a lot of it. When you're thrown to the floor, you have nowhere else to look but inside yourself. And when I had to look inside myself, that's when I shifted. I no longer wanted to get back to health, to be the Natasha before. No, I wanted to become a new version of her. And the rebirth happened. The ego of glass shattered all around me. Every piece fell to the floor. And because of that illness, was reborn the woman I am today. And today I'm able to be the coach I am and the speaker I am and inspire people in the way I do. Because of what I went through. If I hadn't have gone through that, there is no way I would have changed. I would have been that young girl. But first, you sometimes have to be the younger, idiotic version to be the older, wiser self. And we have to
True.
go through those, we have to go through those. So look, you have a great, successful business, and the way you run things, you work so closely with Tony. It's incredible, Tony Robbins. And I would love to know your ways of doing things in the morning. What are your morning rituals? What are your practices? Perhaps it's a daily ritual, not necessarily morning, but what are things that you do to maintain 14 businesses, to maintain the level you do?
Great question. And I think there's a lot of answers. And I think many of you listening or watching probably have a morning ritual. But here's what I'd say. I try to look through the lens of what can allow me to play the day in offense rather than defense. And that's just my words. You can have any words you want. But here's what I know. There's a lot of days where we just feel like we're putting fires out. We're just solving the problems that are in front of us. And if we're just solving past problems, if we're thinking about past issues, if we're dealing with the crap that's in front of us, then we never really have time to work on the man or the woman that we're supposed to be. We're not working on the needle movers. And I look at that as if when I'm working on something on the man I want to become, I'm working on my offense. I'm out trying to score the goal. If you allow the world to get to you, you're always playing goalie. You're trying to protect. And you can't win a game, not to use a sports metaphor or a soccer metaphor, but you can't win the game of life playing just goalie. We have to protect, but simultaneously, we got to get out there and score goals. We have to work on the woman or the man we are becoming. I always say that to my team. I have hundreds of people in my companies that work for me and with me. And I always say, we always must be working on the company we are while simultaneously working on the company we will become. Because if you're the same company today, in 5 years, you're already left behind. If you focus on the future too much, then you lose focus on who you're supposed to be today. So we must focus on the man or woman we are today while simultaneously looking out to who we're becoming. I love to look at it like if you have a company today, at the same time you have a company, you should be planting apple trees for your future. That's the silly analogy I use, because an apple tree planted today doesn't grow apples right away, right? But over time, it produces fruit, and it can produce fruit forever. So with that said, I want my day to be played more offensively than defensively. So that's how I protect my mornings. So when I look through the lens of how do I make a day amazing, when I wake up, I make sure I don't look at this first, my cell phone. That is a challenge that all of us have to work on, because you never know. It's Russian roulette. You might get a text or a message that's great, and you might get one that's shitty. And you might, and when you have something that the first part of your day is like, oh, that didn't work out, or why would my team make that decision, or I can't believe he said that, it puts you in a different frame of the day. So I just want to protect this confidence. I want to protect the ability to be more courageous through the day. So when I first wake up, I make sure I don't look at my phone. Number two is not hours. I try to find one thing I could be grateful for. Now, I know everybody practices gratitude and people do gratitude journals, but here's the little secret of gratitude. Lower the bar. Most people, if they do gratitude journaling, within a month, they're like, I have nothing more to be grateful for. I say grateful for my parents, my loved one, my spouse, my boyfriend, the money I make. What's left? Man, if you lower the bar, just think 150,000 people die every day. If you Google it, it's 150 to 160 a day. You didn't. Imagine lowering the bar that you just wake up and say, I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy my pillow was comfortable. I'm happy it's raining. I'm happy I get to fill my lungs with air. If you can lower the bar of gratitude, every morning you can wake up and just say, wow, I'm here. I have something. So I'll always think about what to be grateful for, and it's usually the little things. It's my son, Sunday I took my son skiing. We just started skiing and he wanted to go. And I woke up the next morning, and one of the things I was grateful for, Natasha, is that when we were going up the ski lift, it was just me and him. We got stuck on the ski lift. It just slowed down for 10 or 15 minutes. And you would think that would be annoying. But we had the most amazing father-son, 14-year-old to father conversation. It was just him and I, no distractions, no phones, just on a ski lift up in the mountains. And I was so grateful for that moment. And he shared some things with me that he hadn't shared with me before. So I woke up. That's all I needed. I was like, the way my son looked at me for that conversation, oh, it filled my heart. So it put me in a different space. So the way I look at it is I want to give my mind something to be optimistic. So that's a little gratitude. And secondly, I say, I want to feed my body. So for me, I want to do something really healthy. So instead of coffee or a donut or a bagel, I immediately go do a green drink every day. So I think of something I'm grateful for. I go do a green drink with some MCT oil in it and a couple vitamins and sometimes apple cider vinegar. And I pound that. And I feel like, okay, I took care of my mind. I'm ready for offense. Took care of my brain and my health. And then I go move and I go exercise, whether that's take a walk, run on a Stairmaster. I do all of that every single morning before I let the demons in, before I let the hundreds of messages, before I do. And when I do, Natasha, I'm setting my day up. Oh, there's 2 more steps. And the 2 steps is gratitude first. Then I think of one win from the day before. What's one thing that was a win, right? It could be something I did with my wife on a personal level, or it could be something I did in my business, or something I took uncomfortable action when I was scared anyway. So gratitude, one win from the day before, and one win I'd like to have in that day. Today, and the win is always about a needle mover, not just the stuff that the mundane every day. It's a needle mover. I want to step up. I want to ask for the promotion. I want to launch the course. I want to register the URL. I'm going to tell my husband that I want to be a coach. Whatever that is, I think of gratitude, a win from the day before, the win the day of. I feed my body with a green drink and I go move. I want to tell you, when I do those 5 steps, it's almost impossible not to have an empowering day. Does shit go sideways? Of course. Don't look for less problems. Look to get better at handling bigger problems.
Right? You actually have been through so much in your own life and overcome so much. And that is so inspiring to me and so inspiring to our audience here. You're someone who has created an empire. You've really created so much. And it's why, you're so loved and admired in the world. And I love it in today's world, having a mixed heritage female just speaking out about her thing. I'm the same way. We're, of these different cultures, and we bring together saying it doesn't matter who you are, what creed, color, race, denomination, doesn't matter. We're all human, right? What experiences did you go through, maybe with your family as a kid? Anything that happened to you that really hit home?
Well, I grew up with an overachiever father who wanted to make a point that if you work hard and you do good and you're educated and you're smart, you can create an empire even in a third world country like Iran, and you don't have to be supportive of the government, because there is a saying behind closed doors that if you are an Iranian living in Iran and you reach a certain level of success, unless you side with the government, you're not going to survive. And my dad wanted to be the trailblazer, the road paver, to prove this whole idea, let's call it, wrong. Turn out it wasn't just an idea, it is the reality. And he was very successful real estate. He was a real estate developer, really successful, and he was commercializing it on billboards, on, like, he had a street named after him. All of his towers were named after a last name, and everybody told him, hey, you got to be under the radar. You should not show your success, and you should not be an inspirational entrepreneur, because you're not going to survive in this country. And he's like, that's not true. I'm going to prove that hard work does pay off. Any dime I've ever earned is really, really clear money.
Wow.
And I want to be a role model for the generations to come. Once he hit a certain point where he was very well known in the country, he got a message from the government asking him to make a large political donation to Ahmadinejad, which was a guy that was becoming president at the time. And my dad said, listen, I'm not supporting anyone. I'm just not a political guy. I don't have enough political knowledge. I'm not saying you're good or you're bad. I'm just saying I'm not knowledgeable enough. I'm a businessman. Within a week, it was one poke after another, after another. And then one day he got a call, went to work to his own shopping center. And the next thing we knew, he had fallen off the rooftop of his shopping center, but somehow his neck was already broken before he was even pushed down. And when I found out, I hired a criminal attorney. I tried to follow up. And then there were people who came to me and said, hey, if you follow up too much, the same person that broke your dad's neck will break yours. So I had no choice but to grab my mom and my brother, and we left the country.
And you came here?
And I came here, and I moved to England. Well, I was living in England at the time. I went back to England.
I would have been there to welcome you.
I wish. And then I lost my entire 20s to this trauma. I remember I feel like I closed my eyes at age 20, which was the moment my dad died. That was the point of trauma. And then for 10 years, I slept walk through my life. I was just sleepwalking, was fight or flight survival mode. How am I going to survive? And how am I going to like go back to who I used to be? Now, how am I going to? I was buried underneath so many layers of trauma that I had lost my voice. I had lost who I am. I was just a dead body walking around. And I think my why was wrong. I was doing everything from the outside in because my why was survival
Of
versus
course.
who am I? What do I really want? I didn't get a chance to even listen to my heart.
This is one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard, Meg. This is so, I mean, thank you for sharing. This is, you know, it's a safe space and I'm here to listen. And, you know, I just want you to know you have done so much. Your dad would be so proud. You've done so much. That what's cooler is that you've actually gone on to create so much and you're following in his footsteps and you're going to continue what he started. And you're continuing that in the world and you're going to make him so proud, and you already are. And you're standing up for the women that need you right now because you fled, you managed to get out, which not everybody does, but you're helping them have a voice where they are right now. If someone is managing to listen to this from Iran right now, what is something you want to tell them?
I want to tell them that I need you to be aware that this abuse should not be your normal, that this is not normal. The fact that you live in the state of horror and fear from the moment you're born in that country shouldn't be normal. However, I cannot tell you to protest. I cannot tell you to go out because I'm scared for you. Because there were so many times when a big movement happened in Iran and a bloodshed happened, a massacre happened. Everyone got killed by the government and nothing changed. And I'm scared. I'm sitting here and I wish I could say something, I could have a solution, but all I can tell you is that I will fight for you as much as I can. Whatever that looks like, I will try my best. I will be your voice. You're not alone. We're watching you. The world is watching you. The world is hearing your voice. And we're going to keep raising your voice and raise awareness until the human psyche wakes up as a collective psyche. Because let me tell you, no matter where you're from, who you are, this world is one universe, one consciousness. And as long as over 100 million people in Iran are suffering, we as a collective psyche are going to be anchored down in trauma. So humanity cannot possibly heal as long as a large portion of the population is deep into certain level of trauma.
So interesting. And you're so right, because it's almost like we're a human body, the world. You know, who's to say that we're not just a cell
Correct.
inside a body?
Correct.
It's like a body within a body. Inside of us are cells, and we're going to talk about this at dinner later. Oh my God. But this is it. So we are a collective consciousness. That was such beautiful words, and I hope that it reaches you, whoever's listening today, or maybe you have family in Iran, and I hope that you can send them this to listen to and see this beautiful woman as inspiration and know that we together are amplifying our voices for you. And we are, you know, not the only ones. The Kardashian family are so behind it. They're amazing. Kim Kardashian did a beautiful post on it. The celebrities that are behind it are phenomenal. So, you know, I'm using my millions of followers, you're using your millions of followers, they're using their millions of followers, and we're coming together to let everybody know the importance that we are here for you. Even though we are far away and we can't be there physically, we are here to help your message spread. On collective consciousness, you know, this is a beautiful topic. For anyone who wants to understand collective consciousness, it means that we are one mind, essentially. So if you want to connect with somebody in the world, like I often will send love to my, you know, Persian friends, or I'll send the love to the Iranian women out there. And I'll say, you know, I'm sending healing. I'm sending healing. It's connecting with the one consciousness, right? You can do it for anything, you know, manifesting. You can do it and manifest anything you want in your life. You can change any situation, I believe. That's why if enough people there stand together, send that energy as a one consciousness, and in the world we do it, something will shift. If we just believe wholeheartedly, this is going to work. What is going on? They're healed as a nation. It's happening. Freedom is coming. Like we just believe it in our souls. If every one of us listening to this podcast right now sends this to a friend, and they then go on and send it to another friend, and another friend, and another friend, and another friend, and you each together do this one exercise that we are telling you to do now, and just send love and healing to Iran, to the women there, so that they can get through this, so that something changes in their place, so that it evolves, right? Moving on to another topic, because I know that is so important for us to talk about that. I'm so happy we have. I would love to dive deeper with you about your success and how you went from this girl living in Iran to fleeing the country, desperate for your life, to where you are now. How did you go from that fight or flight to rest and digest? How did you transition and achieve so much? You know, you have this incredible show on Fox. You're an inspiration to so many women. I just love talking with you, working with you, all these things. So tell me your journey.
So when I had to flee my country and I was so traumatized, I left my true self. Who was my true self? My true self was the girl that was feeling joyful on the inside, that was aligned with her intuitions.
Yeah.
But after my father passed away, that Megan died. The Megan got buried underneath layers and layers of trauma. And I almost got distance from her. I was feeling that I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know why I'm even in this world. So it was just doing whatever that was coming my way, which I was lucky that I was always interested in marketing and media. And I moved to America with the dream that one day I can speak on American media platforms and raise awareness about what's happening in other parts of the world, like in Iran. So it was just, I knew I want to manifest this because a part of me when I was a little girl, I used to manifest easily. But when my father passed, I was like, what happened to all that manifestation and all those dreams and all those magical energy power that I thought I can channel through myself? So I said goodbye to my true self. And that was the death of my authentic self. 10 years fast forward, age 20 to age 30, sleepwalking through life, achieving and doing and achieving, but not feeling content deep down, not understanding my purpose. And then one day I hear this woman called Dr. Shefali on Oprah saying, if you feel like you don't know your purpose or you've been sleepwalking through your life, you're embarking on your awakening journey.
And I'm speaking with her at an event in, like, I think if you're watching this right now, it's happening right now. I'm speaking at an event with her, which is amazing.
Yes, you are. I'm so jealous of you. I'm really jealous of you, but you're such an accomplished woman that it's just so I can't.
No, it's inspired.
It's inspired.
It's not. We use a different word.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But
I'm a little jealous.
But you transmute that into, it's so inspiring because I see other women doing amazing. And you know what I mean? So I'm like, thank God for Megan, because you're reaching an audience I don't reach.
But when I was watching you and Shefali, the pictures on the flyer next to each other, I'm like, wow, that's going to be one heaven of a stage.
Love you.
You know, I'm so excited for people to come and listen to you, to listen to Shefali. So then I contacted her and I said, hey, are you going to hold my hand through my awakening journey? She's like, let's go. Give me a year. I got you. We went through the darkest, deepest layers of my trauma, the darkest place of my soul that I was really scared to go to by myself. And she caught me. And then it's so easy at times you want to fall back into your old habits, but you have to break your patterns one after another, as if I felt like at some point her and I were just going with an axe and chasing after my old patterns, breaking them one after another. And then suddenly one morning, I remember waking up and I felt like the girl prior to when my dad died, which was this level of joy that I had not experienced in the last decade. And I was like, wow, now I understand what it means to awaken. I would be doing anything I can in this world to help women awaken to their real power. Because once you feel that joy from within, you find your soulmate, you find your lover, you find your authentic self. Everything is within you. You're no longer seeking or searching on the outside. The outside will just become the 2D version of your entire life while you're in it with the 3D version.
Yes, because you're living it. Finally, you're no longer seeking. Yes, baby, she's back. I love it.
Can you imagine a life where you effortlessly magnetize your dreams to you? Financial success, the love of your life, the family of your dreams, and everything you've ever dreamed of at your fingertips. With my approach to manifesting, I have a practical method where you use the power of your creative words. It's called scripting. We write in the past tense in a certain way to attract all our desires to us. I've done this. I met my husband in 3 weeks doing this. I helped myself heal twice. I helped myself get rid of a rash on my body. I have helped myself to elevate myself and get myself out there to so many people. I've changed my bank account number. I've added 2 zeros onto it. I have created abundance like I could never dream of. The most beautiful homes around the world. And you can do this too, like so many of my clients are currently doing right now. The success stories speak for themselves. I want to show you how to do it. This is for somebody who is ready, though. Don't even bother coming unless you are ready to transform your life. If you feel like, oh, I'm on the fence, I don't know, none of this shit really works, then baby, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for you. This works for somebody who says, I'm ready. I'm ready to try something else. Try using the power of my words. I want to learn in a curriculum. I want to be in a group with other like-minded individuals, and I want to win. This is for entrepreneurs who are ready to go to the next level, or maybe get out of corporate America and go to the entrepreneurship world. If you're ready, come and join us inside the Scripting Society, and I'll see you there.
Small wins are very important.
Yeah.
I guess you guys.
Like a lot of motivational speakers speak about, like, just do 1% better, right? Like people think about getting 100% better. If you do 1% every day, that's
I was thinking
365%,
about
right?
this. Yeah.
So it's just stacking those small things, because like you said, when you go to bed, your mind's registering that, your hormones, the chemicals, your brain, everything, and it's easier to wake up tomorrow and have a starting point that's further ahead than if you didn't.
I love that. Do you have a particular morning or evening ritual that you do?
I do go through like the successes of the day at night, and then in the morning I do, like, I have a painting that a good friend of mine painted at the foot of my bed that says today, because I'm very much a live in, like, today is the
present.
only day, right? Like
I love it.
nothing else matters. Whatever happened yesterday is
Yeah.
no longer relevant. So
Yes.
I don't live with regret in life, because regret's going to serve no matter how bad you did yesterday, today it doesn't serve any purpose. And so in the morning I wake up and meditate on the wins that I've had and the wins that I'm going to have today, because I think the easiest way to have wins today is be very specific in visualizing what it is you're going to win at.
I love that. And I know you're into like meditation and breath work and all of that. Do you feel like that is a part of keeping you in this beautiful headspace that you live in, this successful momentum? Or do you feel like it's just like a health benefit? What is it that you personally do it for? For someone who's, listening today, like, why should I meditate or do breath work?
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up like a very high strung kid, and like grew up a fighter. I had a temper, all those things, right? And so for me, it's key to maintaining balance in my own mind, to be
Wow.
balanced in life, to execute. Because I think ultimately the greatest control is control of yourself and your mind and your own emotions and those things. So for me, like being present in that and just taking time to think about that, like the day will go dramatically like I know the days I miss that, and then I'm like, shit, that wouldn't have happened if I would have done that today, because
100%.
it just starts the day off without that conscious awareness of acknowledgement, right? Like if you have that aspect of your personality, just acknowledge it and be aware of it.
Yes.
And if you are, it's way less likely that you're going to allow that to creep in than if you aren't.
100%. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Having those rituals, those things that we do for us, mindful practices that make us feel good, because you have to look after this guy.
Yeah.
If you don't look after your mind, your brain, it doesn't look after you, and it forces you to lie down.
Yeah.
When you have those days and you feel lethargic, you feel fatigued, you feel tired, it's because you haven't done practices to look after yourself. It's like a remedy,
Yeah.
but it's preventative. It's like I do a round of 5 to 10 minutes of Wim Hof style breathing in the morning. My MBS method, meditation behavioral synchronicity, which we were talking about for the show, it's a combination of ancient breathing pranayama techniques with meditation, neuroscience, anchoring, and you do this all in a 15-minute meditation. It's like
Wow.
a track you listen to, and it's so powerful. Stars do it, entrepreneurs do it. I give it to people to understand and do to better their life. Is what my book's about. Because when you understand the power, you understand it. You get it so well. Meditation, it can change your life.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I used to suffer from really bad anxiety, and it was the thing that I can tell when I've done a meditation in the morning and when I haven't. In fact, oh my God, the craziest thing. So I just did a meditation today. I did it yesterday. I did it the day before, this new one, okay, that I made. Oh my God. It's called I Am lucky. I'm a magnet to luck. And what you do is you visualize this like double you, this other version of you who's super lucky, doing the things you want to do. And then you step into their body and you become them. And then you open your eyes. 10 minutes only. I do an 11.
Yeah, I need a copy of that.
Yo, this is so good. Now you come out of it, okay, 10, 11 minutes later. I swear to you, I've just had the best 3 days. And I was like, what? Why have these days been so amazing? And you're here on one of them because I just did this epic meditation, which is programming my mind. I have to send you it. So good.
Yeah, I want to listen to it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if you were to ask Dan or Roger, because I believe in this so much, if you were to ask Dan or Roger, what's the most common phrase that Travis says anywhere we go?
Yeah.
It's the universe loves me.
Is that true? That's really, oh my God.
Like
really?
anywhere, like something I'll be like, I don't know, the universe loves me.
Oh my
But
God.
it's just, it's like putting that into your mind and then speaking it, right? Like if you're having a good day or a bad day, just the universe loves me. Of course it's going to happen.
Wow, you're so deep. That's beautiful. You just
And
say it all the time.
All the time. Well, and like when we're gambling, not only the good times, it's like universe loves me. It's going to be a 7, then a 7 comes.
Did you say this before you did your exit?
Oh yeah.
Wow. So it really is something. Okay, guys, the universe loves me. Tag him on Instagram in your post and be like, the universe loves me, Travis Boss. You can put it as like a quote. Somebody make it as a quote and tag him.
But you'll see, I say it like 10 times over the next 5 days when something good happens and see how much more you feel the way you feel.
So cool.
Listening to that meditation, because it just reconfirms like your morning meditation, right? Reconfirms that belief that like, of course, good things are going to happen to me. Why wouldn't it?
I love it. I love that. And it's so true. Like, I just feel like, you know, God or the universe, however you want to say it, blesses all of us. Yeah. And it's up to us to tap into that and be grateful for it. Like, but you have to sometimes look at it as, I know it can be hard if someone's going through something. I went through a lot in my life. And I could have looked at it like, you know what? Why have they got it? Why has he got it? She got it and not me, but you don't. You look at it as, I'm so excited that they have it because it's inspiring me to know I can have it too. It's inspiring me to know I can go on and achieve greatness. So you have to transform your view, right? Into like inspiration, excitement.
Well, and even like the reason I have the painting today is because when I wake up and I see that, like I'm alive today. So if you're alive today, you have a chance for the universe to love you at another level today, right? Like if you went through hard things yesterday, whatever trials, like I go through them still, right? Like you can exit a 9-figure company and still have shitty days. And so you wake up and the first gratitude is just like, I'm here. I got another shot. And I can let the universe love me today.
So I'm always leery of the fact that, you know, we can so easily rationalize bad behavior. And as you start to nudge yourself further and further away from your core values, it becomes easier to just make bigger and bigger sacrifices. And I think I went through that where I was going to remain grounded when I came to Hollywood. I'm playing like the ultimate Hollywood fuckboy. And
so good.
And I'm getting accolades for it. The show's doing well. I'm getting paid. Then when I go out to bars or clubs, people reward me the more I act more like the character.
Whoa, that's nuts.
Because that's why they like me, because they saw the show. So they're like, hey, Vinny. They call me Vinny.
They call you Vinny?
Right? And that line between fiction and reality starts to blur. Next thing you know, I'm in the club. I'm going like this. I look like Vinny, kind of acting like Vinny. And it's just so seductive. And you can't help but lose yourself, no matter how many documentaries you're making, how much environmental work you're doing. So did I remain grounded? Did I remain in touch with myself? Maybe a little bit, but I also might have lost myself in the whole process, which leads me to where I am now, where I couldn't ride that line anymore. I had to fully allow myself to ego death, die, and be reborn, into a totally new, the person you see before you.
Which is so beautiful, and it's amazing how our paths have crossed in that place. I wonder if they would have back then, you know, in a different way. So when you had your rebirth, was it hard? Like, did you feel like you were going through a pressure cooker?
Yeah. I mean, every transformation is hard. It's the death is hard and the birth is hard. The rebirth is hard.
Did you lose friends in the way? Did you?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I like that language, lose friends. I mean,
let go of, walk away from.
You definitely have to move into a different quadrant of the multiverse where your friends just aren't, those friends aren't there. You know, and sometimes you invite them to join you and they choose to stay at a different frequency, having different, and a lot of them they have a vested interest in you remaining the same.
Yes.
Right? So you have to cut those ties in order to fly. Right?
Really interesting you say that they have a vested interest in remaining the same. So I was talking about this the other day to someone. I was saying, I probably actually put a video up on my page, and it says, do you ever find that strangers are happier for you than your own friends? And that's often because your friends come from the same place you did, but yet you have escaped and become something else, and you're up here now, and they are still in the same place where you both began. And that's why often friends don't want to see you evolve and change. They struggle to see that. They want the partying. They want the benefits of what comes with the showbiz, what comes with the limelight and all of the above, or whatever it is you used to be like. You know, I used to look after all my friends and go for big boozy lunches and all these things. And it doesn't serve anybody. Nobody gets anything from it. But now I host masterminds where we all come together and it's vegan food and we don't drink, and it's, you know, it's a completely different world. And we're chanting and oming and meeting monks, and it's so different. But once upon a time it wasn't. So they don't want me to come out of that because they're missing their lunches, they're missing the shopping sprees, they're missing the Natasha, you know, who was this like completely different person. Well, I'm very proud to say it, I do not have any of the same friendship circle I had pre-7 years ago.
Well, I was actually coming here to LA, and I'm like, okay, I haven't been to LA in a while, and I know thousands of people, right? I'm a pretty social person, so I've met thousands and thousands of people around the world, and you know, being a recognizable person, people actually approach you and want to know you. And then I'm coming here, I'm like, okay, I'll see people I haven't seen in a while, and I'm looking through all my contacts. I'm like, no. Like, why is this person in my phone? Why is this person? I could probably just delete 99% of the contacts in my phone. If I had a easier way to do it, I probably would. And when all said and done, there was a handful of people that I actually wanted to see.
That's amazing. It just shows the evolution. And you also want the people around you to be like you, because we're an average of the 5 people we spend time with. So if we are socializing with 5 exceptional people, if I'm, you know, my day is surrounded by you and perhaps 4 wonderful creative individuals, my average is going to raise. Your average is going to raise. You're around people who are inspiring you. You're going out, you're feeling elevated. You're starting your day off in the right way. But if you're surrounding yourself with negative calls, negative people who are bringing your average down, of course, you wonder why, not you, but one's average will lower. You know, so we've made that decision to move on and become better people and attract bigger things to us.
Yeah, well, that's what I did when I was, you know, at my lowest, I guess, and in my dark night of the soul, just in that chrysalis stage of rebirth and shedding and eliminating lifestyle choices, brunches, parties, sex, all the things, just clean slate. And then I started to reintroduce friends. I started to seek out those that I perceived as having done the work enough so that I could be around people that I could learn from, and that they would hold me accountable for the things that I say I wanted.
Beautiful.
And they would have the skills to be able to engage me, seeing that I really meant that I wanted to improve my life. Now all my friends are, you know, they're top-notch, elevated men that every day I'm like, I better get my shit
I
together.
love
because
that. Like elevated entrepreneurs.
They're, entrepreneurs, they're, highly functioning, sophisticated philosophers and coaches. And
love that.
And
you have to come to one of my events when I'm speaking.
Sure.
I'm going to invite you. You'd love it.
Love that.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely have you. What was your lowest point? You were just saying you went through. What was that point for you? That's really intriguing because that's the exact way that the rebirth happens for anyone right now who feels like they're in the chrysalis. I love the analogies you use are just astonishingly beautiful. And if anyone does feel right now they're listening in and you're in a place of you just feel trapped, you feel like you're changing, you're evolving, something's happening, I'd love to know, like, your...
Yeah, well, the metaphor of the caterpillar into the butterfly is beautiful, but I think we've seen that metaphor on just the surface level of what it really indicates, because sure, the butterfly becomes the caterpillar, but we imagine, I think just instinctively, that there's a caterpillar and it grows wings and and then it's able to fly. But what actually happens is a caterpillar will create a cocoon, like literally just eat and eat and eat, and then build this cocoon, like overindulge and overconsume. It seems, because
that's what the children's book's about.
Which one?
The caterpillar, where it eats, now I get it, I never got it. Every day it eats salami and eats cake and eats another one, it grew and it grew and it grew. I didn't know that.
Right, so it's basically over-consuming, and it seems to the outside observer that it's just, it's eating itself to death. It's like, there's no purpose to it, but it's basically storing all this energy. It builds this cocoon, it goes into the darkness, like entirely, shielded from the world, and then it secretes some sort of chemical, and it melts. Like what we know as the caterpillar dissolves into a goop of genetic information. Like there's no form.
Like the womb.
It's no longer a caterpillar.
This is crazy.
It's literally just potential.
Wow.
So the caterpillar is no longer, it disappears, it's gone, it's dead. And then all of that genetic information starts to become and to grow into the butterfly. So there's really nothing left of the caterpillar. It becomes a completely different being, a different form. So that helped me when I was going through my transformation, because part of me wanted to hold on to the part of me that I was familiar with, that old caterpillar that was up to the same old shtick, right? Because when I met someone and I could show them the house or show them the car or show them the lifestyle, I felt like there was a familiarity to my identity, a continuity of self, and I got praise for it, right? I had a little bit of ego power because of that. But what I had to do is completely eliminate that whole old caterpillar in order, like not a little bit, all of it, everything, so that I could truly step into an entirely different self that has no semblance of familiarity to the old. Like no old bad habits, not even a little bit. And that was a good 2+ year process.